Today's daily recap is for BTG Beyond the Gate for Wednesday, August the 27th, 2025. This is going to be kind of a short recap, y'all. I started choking and my voice still has not recovered. So I'm going to hit these points and get off of here, okay? Chelsea ends up going to Joey, right? She wants to talk to him and asked him could he help them find her cousin. And she says, I could give you money. And he's like, look around here, little girl, or baby girl, whatever he called her. He goes, this place here is a money pit. I don't need your money. And so he goes, and no, for one, I'm not saying I own that business. And Chelsea looks at him and he says, and if I did, I know businesses like that, they have by law privacy for their customers. You know, I wouldn't give up that or violate that. And so she goes, this is very important. I'll do anything to get my cousin back. And I thought, well, you don't tell a strange man like him that owns the escort service, I'll do anything, Chelsea. And so he goes, you know, I could consider. And so she goes, my cousin's name is Chelsea Hamilton. Here is the information on the person that has taken her. Her name is Allison. These are the dates she used your escort service. And she goes, I mean, the escort service. And Joey looked at her like, yeah, see, I don't own this. So she puts the paper on the table, or she gives it to Joey. And Joey walks around her and he sits down and he puts it on the table. He says, you know, I could consider helping you, but you're going to have to tell your brother that I want to speak to him first. And she said, my brother Martin Richardson? He goes, yes, your brother. He may have even said Congressman Richardson. You let him know I'm going to be here for another hour. If he doesn't come meet with me, because Chelsea says, I can get a warrant, you know. He goes, oh, yeah, you can. But warrants take time. And obviously, it's time you don't want to wait. So he says, you tell Martin he better be here within the hour, or I've got nothing for you. And he looked at Chelsea and he goes, tick tock. And she goes, oh. So she goes and she tells Martin, Smitty's there. And Martin says, okay, I'll go. And Smitty said, Martin, you do know, this is what I was talking about with Joey Armstrong. He says, I know, Smitty, but it's Chelsea. And I'm going to do everything I can to bring her home. And Smitty looked at him and he goes, no, I know. You know, like, I know, right? And so anyway, Martin goes to meet Joey. And Joey, you know, is telling him, look, I'm tired of this relationship with your family being one-sided. It's been helping them with what they need and you. Well, now, you know what? I give you this information, that relationship's changing because I might need a little something from you. That's my deal. So, of course, he takes it because Kat, where was she? Oh, she was back with Jacob at the police station. And, you know, Jacob's trying to get the warrant still, right? Um, and Naomi had come and talked to him, but he had told him no, he's gonna talk to Joey Armstrong himself. And she goes, and I kind of think he was saying he's gonna go without the warrant. He said, but I couldn't tell Kat that. She goes, my by the book husband is going to do something not by the book. And he said, it's Chelsea. And so Naomi hugs him because that's his wife's sister. Jacob will look the, which is what his father was telling him. When it's something that hits home to you, that's important to you, you're not as by the book, right? So anyway, Kat comes and she tells Jacob that you're not gonna like where I've been, and he looked at her. She says, "I want to go see Joey," and he goes, "Kat, he is a dangerous person." Blah blah blah, and she says, "Well," and she goes, and he said, "Did he give you any information?" She says he wants to speak to Martin for some reason. See, Kat doesn't know. I think Kat and Chelsea haven't been clued in on the Kenny situation, and I'm surprised that Samantha hasn't told them. So anyway, he goes, "Why would he want Martin?" She goes, "I don't know." And so she's sitting there, and while she's sitting there, she gets a text message from Martin. She says, "It's Martin." He says, "All the information on Allison's being emailed now." So look, they did get a lead, and now we know Joey's going to be up to something sinister or illegal with that he's going to want Martin to do. Whatever. Um, and then of course we have scenes with Allison. Allison is her delusional self. Chelsea pushes her off the bed because she just insisting, she gonna have her way with Chelsea. And Chelsea's like, "Oh, get off me." I'm telling you, Allison, Chelsea can overpower her. She's just not doing it the right way. And Allison said, "If you hurt me, you're gonna die of starvation, because who's gonna get the handcuffs off you? Nobody knows where you are." Well, look, chick, at least with you dead, I know you're not going to kill me. And if I have to, I know I'm going to break the bones in my hand and get that handcuff off of there, because my Uncle Ted is a world renowned plastic surgeon. He'll have me fixed up lickety split. Okay. Oh, there's a way to get out of them handcuffs. And when you did, I don't have to worry about you stabbing me with that knife or trying to think you could rape me. How do you think that was going to work? Right? Allison, but Allison is reading her. She goes, "Stop trying to lie and hide your feelings, Chelsea. You wrote me all those love messages." And she says, "I have never sent you any love." "Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Here, look." And she's reading these messages. And Chelsea says, I never wrote that. You're making that up." And she's like, Chelsea's like, "What did you do? Retype them?" She goes, "I know how to read between the lines. This is what you really meant." She goes, "No, Allison, that's not what I really meant. Because I didn't even know you that well. I was very interested with you, but I was not in love with you. But even so, I wouldn't put that out there in a text." She says, "You are delusional." And look, you said, and she's reading on, she goes, "Oh my God." She's like, "Is there somebody you could see?" Oh my goodness, right? So Allison gets all mad, and she stands, she goes, "Well, you know what? If you're gonna be that way, then I'm gonna just leave." So she puts her jacket on. Get this. She puts her leather jacket on over her silk nightwear, lingerie wear. And Chelsea says, "Where are you going? I know you're not going to leave me here." And I'm thinking, "Girl, leave me here." She goes, "Well, you know what? You ruined dinner. I'm hungry. I am going to buy myself a night's dinner, and I might bring you a doggy bag." So anyway, we'll see. I mean, my thing is when they find her, because Joey's given the information, is Allison going to be gone? Which I kind of think they may do it that way. Well, Allison is gone. They find Chelsea because see now we have this cycle still out there. You know how they love to have psychopaths still in the loose, being able to hide and avert everything, right? So we'll see what they're going to do. We shall definitely see. But Allison is getting ready to leave. And I'm thinking, you idiot, everybody's looking for, but no, she doesn't know everybody's looking for her. Remember, she thinks she's so clever. She made that fake account. So they're looking for the fake person. They're not looking for me. That's interesting. I want to see how they're going to run. This is going to be a good week for BTG. I'm liking it. And then, of course, Dana Leslie Thomas, shows up with some stupid cactus. And Anita says, oh no, now is not the time. And she walks right past Anita. And I said, see, what country are we in? And what town? I know they in Maryland. You ain't standing for that. For one thing, you only come in my house if I invite you in my house. Leslie wasn't invited. Anita should have stood right in her doorway and said, you're not coming in my house and don't come to my house ever again. And slammed the door in her face. You don't let her walk by. And she did, walked right by. And then she's like almost making a mockery. I want that sweet child to be found because I know this is hard for all of you. And she's talking loud, nobody deserves their child to be taken like that uh, charlatan or whatever. Bill Hamilton threatened to take my child. And no, nobody deserves that. Now, Bill is in the living room talking to Danny. And he's looking. So she's just loud talking, and Vernon says, I'll handle this. He goes, it's time for you to leave. We do not have time for this, Miss Thomas. Now, no, well, now she's making like she's doing this fake prayer. And Lord, even though he's a charlatan and this, that, Bill walks up behind Leslie, and Anita goes, enough. And Leslie stops and she looks. And I'm thinking, what kind of person is that? I mean, yes, I know there are people like, I don't know a person like her. But do you all know anybody in Common Corner? Do you know a Leslie Dana Thomas in your life? I mean, I know all of us got some kind of family we don't claim, right? But they're not that. you know? So Bill just looks and he looks at Vernon. He goes, may I? And Vernon goes, with pleasure. And she goes, man, you what? And Bill wraps his arms around her and he's cuffing his arms and he lifts her up off the ground. See? And he walks her to the door. Vernon has the door open and he plops her down and he slammed the door in her face. She goes, let me go. You charlatan, let me go. Oh, he gets her out, plops her down. They shut the door. Now, Bill does find out he and Danny were talking because Nicole's talking to Haley and she ended up taking Haley upstairs and they're looking through social media accounts because she knows she needs to get Haley out just from out of being around Danny. So they're sitting in the foyer area in that bench that's on the end or that little love seat. And Danny says, where's Haley? He goes, Nicole has her upstairs. They're looking through Chelsea's social media accounts. And so they were talking and he goes, there's a whole lot I didn't know about my daughter. One was yesterday when he found out that how she met Allison and she was having sex with a couple, right? And he goes, "There's a lot I didn't know." And so she goes, "Yeah, she's an adult now." And so she says, wait. And I think Naomi let it slip. And she goes, "Well, Chelsea's girlfriend, something about Chelsea's girlfriend and helping." And Bill's like, "Girlfriend? What?" And Naomi says, "I got to go to the station. I'm going to see if Jacob found out anything." Right. And so Danny told him that Madison and Chelsea are involved. And, or no, Danny didn't tell him. Madison comes down the stairs and she says, "If you heard any words," she says, "No." And she says, "Madison, honey, you need to go home. I know you have patients to see tomorrow." She says, "Yeah, but I could cancel all my appointments." And she says, "Chelsea will be very, very upset if you canceled your appointments. You have done so much and you care for our daughter so much, and she cares for you. She would want you to still, keep your obligations to your patients." And Bill is like, "They care for each other." And he looked, and Madison says, "She was going to tell you tonight." And Bill is like, "Wow, there's a lot I dream about," right? So Madison leaves. So now we have Andre and Danny are in the living room. And he comes back because the whole live streaming stuff is done. And he goes, "Danny, how you holding up?" And she goes, "Andre, I just need my baby girl back." And he goes, "No, I know, I know." So he's hugging her, right? He's hugging her. And, but before that happened, Ashley showed up because Naomi was still there. And she just said, "I wanted to check in, see how you're holding up," and blah, blah, blah. And Naomi said, "Thank you so much, Ashley, for your support." And Ashley could see Bill and Andre across the room, sitting by a window on the little ledge that you could sit on. Some windows, bay windows, have the thing where you could sit. And she's just looking. And Andre is, talking to her, comforting Danny. So she goes, "Oh, I'm not going to stay long. I just wanted you to know that I'm thinking about you." And she's like, "Thank you so much." And Andre comes over and he's talking to Ashley briefly. And Ashley was saying, he I know Danny is really upset. And he goes, "Yes, she is. And I'm here for her." And she goes, "No, I know." She goes, "We're both where we're supposed to be. I'm here for Derek, and it's obvious you're here for Ashley." And he goes, she says, "It's good we didn't start because, we have people that need us." And he said, "Yeah." So he says, "I'll walk you out." And after he walks Ashley out, he comes back in, and that's when he's talking to Danny again. "How you holding?" So they're hugging. Bill and Haley come from upstairs because he went to get Haley. And they walk, and they turn the corner to the living room. And there they see Andre and Danny hugging, right? And he's comforting her. You could tell they're very close. She's crying on his shoulder. Not boohoo crying, but crying on his shoulder. And the look, first Haley sees it and she's like, mm. And then she looks at Bill and she sees the look on Bill's face like, "What is this?" And Haley is like, "Why you have that expression on your face?" Right? That is so. So anyway, um, that was that scene. And Bill had sent Haley home. And Andre, I guess, had left as well. And he was talking to Danny, and she goes, "No, no, Nicole Andre and Danny, I think, walked further into I bit the side of my mouth, y'all, further into the living area room. And Nicole comes up to Bill and she goes, "Where's Haley?" And he said, "I sent her home." And he's just looking at Andre and Danny. You know, he's talking to her and she's, talking to him. And she goes, "Oh, guess you didn't know about them, huh?" And he goes, "Well, I guess there's a whole lot that I didn't know about with my family." And so she goes, "Yeah." She didn't say sucks because she doesn't use the word, but paraphrasing. She goes, "Yeah, it sucks when your family keeps you out of the loop and you don't know anything." And she just looked at him like, "You know how I feel, chump," right? And Bill is just Bill. Wow. See, now let's see. Let's for one, he and Danny are going to be together till Chelsea's found. Let's see if he tries to mess with Danny's head. Danny, let's see, because he has never seen Danny with anybody else. And now Danny is with somebody else. So that's gonna be interesting. Mm. Uh, you know what? That's it. That's all I have. Yep. Tomorrow it ought to be interesting. Let's see. Because one thing I do like about BTG, they don't let stuff just drag out and drag out and drag out. You know, other soaps, unfortunately, General Hospital included, this will be another couple months. We could be into October with the whole Chelsea situation. I think we're gonna have this wrapped up by Friday with BTG. And oh my goodness, don't let me get started with the Young and the Restless. It'd be Christmas time. And we still dealing with something, right? So anyway, everybody, that is it. I'll be back tomorrow. Oh, you know what? My throat is feeling a little better. So let's see if I can just get a little bit of comment corner in here. Let me see. And now my internet's not refreshing let's see what's going on here. All right. There's 14 comments. Let's see if I can get through some of these comments here. We have Tara says, "I believe Bill will be okay with Chelsea's sexuality. He wants to understand why Chelsea was so afraid to tell him. I'm rooting for Bill and Danny to get back together and for Bill to be rid of his child bride, Haley. I want him and Haley broken up, but I don't want him and Danny back together simply because you know what? He treated Danny very badly through his marriage. He cheated. Haley wasn't the first one. He cheated on her throughout the years. I don't want Danny to go back into that situation. And I think now that he's done what he's done, even though she still loves him, Danny will never let herself get put back into that situation. She just won't. Lauren says, "I think this is how Nicole will find out Vanessa's uses the escort service and her connections to Joey. It made sense Joey is over the escort service because he acts like an escort with Vanessa." Well, we always knew that Joey owned that escort service. Remember when before he and Vanessa got together, they were starting. He was starting to come around her. He showed up in place of one of his escorts because she would always use his service. And he goes, "Waiting for somebody?" And she looked at him. "As a matter of fact, I am." And he goes, "Well, he's not coming." And he told her, he goes, "I own the escort service and I know all my clients and the preferences." So no, we've known right off that Joey owned that escort service. And Sandra says it's Jacob and Kat talking to Craig about Allison. Kat. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, y'all, you know what? If I say the wrong name, write it in comment corner because I'm talking about two soaps, a bunch of stories. I will mix up some names. Which soap am I reading now? Carolyn said, at this point, I believe Bill knows that there was no baby. I don't know. They haven't talked about that again. Haley now knows she was out of her league when she seduced Bill. Yep, she definitely was out of her league. Haley only wants to be the center of attention. I know, just like Leslie, right? And I do believe eventually Leslie and her will be comrades. Carolyn also says it makes me wonder how many times did they hook up. Shirley says Bill found out from Danny that Chelsea was in a relationship with a woman. Then a threesome from Kat, who rushed out quickly. So he didn't even get a chance to process what he had heard. Soon he will find that Madison is really Chelsea's girlfriend, which he did. Haley got me really mad because none of this had anything to do with her, and she made it all about her and her feelings. She made it sound like it should have been her and Bill on camera pleading for Chelsea. I know. What? She can't do anything besides make the family mad. So really has she really should have left, but she isn't. She's supposed to be recovering from a miscarriage. I know, right? I like Kat and Jacob. I like Kat, but Jacob needs to put her in her place by saying, we are not partners. There's no good cop, bad cop. There's only one cop. I know, right? She really needs to fall back and let Jacob take the lead. She's pushing. She can be pushed and mouth off to the point where someone will go off on her. Kat wants to do things her way and she will get herself into trouble. I like Kat with helping Jacob find clues as to at her and Chelsea's place, that's fine, but she can't play detective. Well, she sure does. I can feel that if she finds out about a clue to where Chelsea is, she will go there on her own and get herself hurt. She would do something like that, 100%. I know this may seem irrelevant, but how come Ted hasn't heard anything yet? I know, I was wondering. They sure left Ted out the loop, but you know what? Ted is not her. He's her uncle. Uncle Ted should know, right? I know Nicole is angry with him, but doesn't want to talk with him. But she is Chelsea's uncle, and Bill is his friend. I know. She should have called him. That's my thought. I kind of thought the same thing. I really, really did. I thought Ted should be there. Lucy says, totally enjoy BTG's Tuesday episode. Looking forward to the last days of August. Monday is a federal holiday. Thanks, Daily Recap Lady with a smile. Thank you so much, Lucy. All right, I made it through Comment Corner. I'll be back tomorrow with another daily recap of BTG, Beyond the Gates.